Need for Speed Payback update, NFS Payback update, all cars level 399, limiter removed, new cars, Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio, blah, 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 a couple more that I've got no interest in, and extra rims, new shoes for your cars to step into. Yes, welcome back to the channel, fellas, welcome back to the channel, fellas. Well, this feels kind of different, doesn't it? Me doing a positive and meaningful video on Need for Speed Payback, something I've not done for a while. Now, as you saw from the thumbnail, as you saw from the title, the whole purpose of this video is not to just go through everything that you know already, because every single YouTuber has already done that for you. And chances are, by the time this reaches your cell phone or laptop, you've more than likely already tried out the new update. As I've mentioned, I've not put out a Need for Speed Payback video for a while, and I think a lot of you know why. Let me make one thing absolutely and abundantly clear. I did not actually download this update by choice. My laptop decided to do it for me. And as it had done that, I thought to myself, do you know what? I've got a spare few moments. Let me just hop on it and give it a test drive. Now, before I go into the reason as to why I was wrong, why I've had a change of heart, why my mind has been changed, I think it's very important that I give those of you that have only just joined my channel in the past 2 or 3 months some real context as to what's going on here. You see, around about a year ago, in the lead up to Need for Speed Payback, this, believe it or not, and this is the honest truth, was actually one of the most viewed channels on YouTube for news, information, coverage and discussions in the lead up to the game itself. But how's that possible? You haven't even got 20,000 subscribers. Well, guess what? I only had 1,000 when making those videos. You see, what happened is EA and Ubisoft have very differing strategies in terms of how they want to market their respective games. If you look at the way Ubisoft went about with The Crew 2, what they did was they invited loads and loads and loads of YouTubers out to special invite events and allowed us to actually capture the game. Now, these YouTubers were big, majestic channels like obviously Theo's, but even small guys like myself who they picked up on because I just showed a lot of interest and passion for the actual franchise. But it didn't stop there, because they even invited non-racing YouTubers. So YouTubers out there like Typical Gamer, who's one of the biggest YouTubers in the world, plays a lot of Fortnite, played a lot of GTA 5 mods, isn't what you would call a racing YouTuber, but got invited to have exclusive access. So basically what you had was potentially hundreds upon hundreds, maybe even thousands of recognized, non-recognized and hugely popular YouTubers all putting out the same content. With EA, they were a lot more selective. There was a much smaller catchment area of YouTubes they invited. It was EA insiders, it was people that are part of the Game Changers program, 1 or 2 other guys here and there, and that was it, meaning there was far less people putting out content. So if you're a guy like me who still decided to cover the game in the way I did, as you can see by the images on screen now, it meant that due to the low number of YouTubers that were actually putting stuff out, my stuff was being found easier. My videos started trending. There you go, that's the science behind how it worked. YouTube 101. Understand the algorithm and you do okay. Right then, back to the point. I put a lot of time, effort, care, love and attention into all these videos because in my head I had unbreakable, undeniable commitment and faith that Need for Speed Payback was going to do well. More cars, better customization, a proper day and night cycle, an action-packed storyline, an improvement to the poor handling of 2015. From what we could see in the trailer and the gameplay releases, more aggressive and varied style of cops. Cops, yeah. The reintroduction of previous characters as well as adding little bits of previous Need for Speed titles into the game, like sprinkles of parmesan on an Italian pasta. In my mind, all of these positive elements stacked up and combined were enough to convince me that this was going to be the Need for Speed that we had been waiting for, that I had been waiting for, that the community wanted. This was going to be the game that was most likely to be the true continuation from that golden era. And when the game finally did release and I managed to get it into my hands and had a good play around with it, I was still convinced by this. There were 1 or 2 things that irritated me, but by and large I was really impressed. So much so that I even went to war with IGN. They completely tore the game apart in their review, and me, like that guy in the school playground that sees a girl getting picked on by her boyfriend, I put on a cape and I put my underpants on outside of my jeans and I became Captain Saverho. I completely dissected their review to pieces, broke it down, tore through everything that was wrong and put through logistical reasons as to why I felt Need for Speed Payback is a very good game, at least from a single player aspect. And therein lied one of the biggest problems, the fact that initially there was no ability for multiplayer based free roam options. Yeah, I know you could do it by a glitch, that doesn't count, it should have been standard out of the box. Now, I don't want to go too deep into all of what was wrong with Payback because that's not the whole point of this video. But what started to happen was on my channel, after doing all of those videos, all of a sudden I started to slow down to the point where I didn't release anything whatsoever. And my main reason for not playing Need for Speed Payback was because A, I was bored of it, and 2, I couldn't play the game the way I wanted to play it. Now, if you're watching, I need you to participate in this little experiment. I want you to close your eyes and mentally sit around a table with me. Right, those of you who are hugely big on cops, think about how frustrated and angry you were when you found there wasn't a proper cops-based system in the game. Cool. Those of you who are really good at drifting, think of how you felt when you realized brake to drift was still prominent and there's still no skill required. I'll say minimal skill required to initiate a drift. Think about how angry you felt. Okay, cool. Those of you who are all about substance and storylines, remember how annoyed you were at Need for Speed 2015 with all the energy monster drinks and cheesy lines? How did you feel when you found Payback had an even cheesier script with what many would consider to be corny and predictable based acting with dire one-liners? Right, so you see that negative energy, that burning anger? Brilliant, I've got you exactly where I want you. That is exactly how I felt when I started playing the story progression mode and realized I could not take my Volkswagen all the way to the end game because it was limited, it was restricted, it could not go up to 399. You see, for me, progression is the most important thing. Progression is the make or break thing when it comes to playing any game for me. I'm not saying this is right, I'm not saying this is wrong, this is just my opinion, just like your opinion was for those things that I mentioned earlier. If you take away the thing that I find most important, I just can't continue playing the game. When I play racing games, I'm actually not a huge fan of supercars. I like supercars, I respect hypercars, but I prefer to do reviews on them. I don't like taking hypercars to my end game because I like to feel a connection, a bond with the car that I've got. I like to know that I put blood, sweat, tears into taking that thing from a rust bucket right up to the very end and just destroying everything. I could do that in Need for Speed 2015. Now, the thing that took me from being irritated to full-on rage-blooded annoyed about this is the fact that there was no logical reason that made any sense for this decision. This decision, in my head at least, I couldn't see the sense in it. You're basically shoehorning me into playing the game you want me to play, or I should say in the style that you want me to play it in. I can't play this game the way I want to. I've paid all this money to play a game upon which you've laid out the progression path in a way that you want me to follow. No. Here's a bit of psychology for you this morning. As human beings, we can be quite forgiving characters. It's not usually the end result of a situation that annoys us as much as the why and the logic and the non-reasoning behind certain things. Those are what cause friction. If I poured a can of soda all over your Yeezys or your Jordans or whatever footwear you like to wear, but you saw it was because I was pushed over by somebody else, you're probably going to be irritated and annoyed because obviously those are expensive footwear. But because you saw how it happened, you're probably going to be a lot less forgiving than if I just walked up to you, looked you in the face, opened up my can and then just poured it all over you. I wouldn't even get that far because you'll probably punch me to death. You'll probably kill me to death. But you see where I'm going with this? Understanding the logic, having good reasoning, or at least some sort of reasoning for a mistake softens the blow. There was no reasoning for this, and I'm done talking about it. This, coupled with other strange decisions made by Ghost and EA, made me start to develop a strange, dark feeling towards the game. Now obviously you got a lot of people out there who got so angry with not just this decision, but all the other decisions that were perceived to be wrong, so much so that they took the game and they wiped their bum with it, or their ass, or their ass, if you're American. Need for Speed Payback is dead. It can't be revived. The series is finished. Ghost should just quit and let another developer take over. All these were the sentiments that were being pushed out. I didn't put a single video out saying that. I didn't put out a tweet saying that. I didn't go into any forum saying that. And I certainly didn't discuss that in my Discord. Because while I did not fully agree with all those sentiments, what I did agree with and what I actually did put a video out on was the fact that they were adding things too late. It was too little too late. They were adding things to the game that should have been there from day one, and they were taking too long to add them. One of the reasons as to why I've gained a little bit of notoriety and a bit of credibility from a small group of people, of which I'm humbly thankful for, is because whether or not you agree or disagree with my point, there's always substance behind what I say, there's always logic, and I always can bring some sort of fact to back up my arguments. I'm okay at debating. So applying that same type of logic and skill set to the state of Need for Speed Payback. So you've got a game whereby it's 3-6 months down the line, even more than 6 months, with a lot of meaningful features that still had not been added. You're now releasing news that you're going to start pushing out updates as to where the cars can get to level 399. The date upon which that update comes out is literally smack bang in the firing line of the Crew 2's media run. Not only that, but E3 has just passed and Forza Horizon 4 has been shed to the world. Your game is already around 8 months old. Their games are going to be brand new. Their games are not indie titles. They are AAA titles backed by absolute monster companies, Ubisoft and Microsoft. I don't see how the game survives. It doesn't make logical sense based on the fact, I mean, surely you guys can see where I'm coming from, right? My logic wasn't misjudged. A combination of the Crew 2 and Forza Horizon 4 has everything that I need to keep me satisfied. I don't have a reason to go back to Need for Speed Payback. I even so much as said that in a video about a week ago. However, after loading up the game this morning, it turns out I was wrong. I'm actually a self-proclaimed hypocrite, and here's why. Not too long ago, I put out a video where I'd explained to you guys how it's very, very important not to judge situations on black or white. I'm not talking about ethnicity or race. I'm saying that a lot of times we come out with criticisms, we're not really looking at all the different interchangeables and the many different shades of grey in between that can actually change the very mindset and have a huge impact on the end result. Rather than speculating and analysing, I just played the game for what was supposed to be 15 minutes. That then turned into 3.5 hours. Picking my hatchback, my little Volkswagen, and being able to take that little thing to 399, oh my goodness. It completely, the love affair, the romance, the connection between BOURNE and car was reignited. I felt like I was having makeup sex after breaking up with a girl. That's the best analogy I can use. Please practice safe sex at all times, all right? I also saw that they added a whole load of rims to the game. Again, using my analytical brain, I thought, who cares? That's not enough, too little too late. I played the game, and guess what? I was wrong. You see, I'm a huge addict. I'm a fiend when it comes to trainers. We call them trainers over here, you call them sneakers in America. I'm someone who will go and buy 3 at a time. And I've got loads of pairs that I haven't even worn yet. Earlier on in the video, if you noticed, I used an analogy to describe rims as being different types of shoes for your cars. And guess what? I was happy that I had different types of rims. More shoes for my cars. Now the Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio also played a huge part in this. You see, if you're new to my channel, what you probably won't know is customization is another thing I'm big on. Yeah, the regular folk, you know that, but I love customization. I live and breathe through it. I love modifying cars. When I saw that this car was added to the list as one of the new cars in the pack, I thought, well, I don't care, because it's a new car, it's probably not going to have any parts to it, and I'm not going to be interested in the slightest. I was wrong. You see, not only was I pleasantly surprised with the amount of parts that are available, as you've probably seen with Theo's video and everyone else's, but do you know what? It just realigned to me something that I had taken for granted, that the Crew 2 has massively improved when it comes to customization. It has. Forza's Horizon series took a step forward in Forza Horizon 3 with the introduction of wide body kits, but with the amount of cars they've got, we know full well there's no way there's going to be good customization for all cars. In fact, it's only going to be a small handful as usual. But Need for Speed Payback, Need for Speed franchise as a whole is still the granddaddy when it comes to modifying a car. Another thing that I really, really like. And I guess what this has done, along with the 399 situation, is it's now given me a reason to go back and play Need for Speed Payback. I have reasons now. My marriage to that game was all but done. I had taken off my wedding ring, but guess what? The ring's back on my finger. Are we back in a good place? Sort of, but not entirely. Make no mistake about it, I will be playing the Crew 2 next week and the week after and probably the week after that. And when Forza Horizon 4 comes out, I'm going to be putting a lot of time into that game as well. But crucially, critically, Payback has given me a reason to actually continue playing every now and again. So you could say, while the marriage is not perfect, while we're not fully back on track, at least I've allowed it back in my house to sleep on the couch. So I guess there's 2 things to take away from this. First and foremost, is this a good update? Well, it depends. It depends on the type of player you are and the way in which you play the game and what your expectations are. So I can't answer that, believe it or not. The second thing is for me to make a public apology, because as I said, even though I didn't run around saying that the game's terrible, it's crap, it's rubbish, I'm still guilty of not practicing the very thing that I preached to you guys just a few days ago, which is not judging situations on black or white and not always taking things to face value. Sometimes you've got to go a little bit deeper, and in this case all I had to do was just play the game, and yeah, I'm content. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the way I put this together. I know this is a different type of review. It's not the type of thing that you're probably used to from other channels. That's if you're new here. If you're a regular subscriber, then you're probably already used to me putting out my opinions in different ways. But nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are on this update, and let me know what your thoughts are in terms of where Need for Speed is at in general. Do you still think it's a game which is on its deathbed? Do you feel it's doing well? And also, important, YouTube is broken. I put out a video yesterday which was a concept that I made for a VTEC powered Honda DLC pack for the Crew 2. I'm going to link that at the end of the video. Please check it out and give it a watch and let me know what you think of it, what your thoughts are. I don't ask for much, but I really need your help on this one because I need to figure out whether or not it's something I should continue as a series for other manufacturers as well, or I should just leave it at that. So watch that after this if you can. That's pretty much it. I'll see you when the next video comes out. Take it easy. Peace.